Hello, everybody. This is Todd Dewey from Ice Road Truckers on the History Channel, and I love to listen to TNCRadio.Live.
Hello and welcome to TNCRadio.Live. This is Keep On Talkin' with your host, Tom Kirk. Tom is an over-the-road driver with over 2 million safe miles. On this show, he interviews the people who help make the trucking world happen. It's real life, live from the road.
During the last 2 decades, Uncle Pete's Truck Stop in Lebanon, Tennessee, off of I-40, has been a staple for a cast of characters, including truck drivers, travelers, and locals. So join Uncle Pete today as we learn a little bit more about what makes Uncle Pete's Truck Stop so unique and such a staple for so many people. So Uncle Pete, what caused you to get started in the truck stop business?
Well, it sort of evolved into something. I was buying and selling small businesses that were in problems and flipping them. And this truck stop was in bankruptcy 30-something years ago. I bought it, and the first month I literally had a ton of fun out of it. I started meeting the drivers. We started a cup collection out of an accident. When we bought the place, it had 5 coffee cups that weren't broke. One of my waitresses said, my mom's got a bunch of cups. She goes home and comes back with a laundry basket full of coffee cups, 83. In a couple of months, my regular cups that I had ordered came in, so we put those on the window ledge. Drivers, being that intelligent bunch of guys out there, would go through and look and said, what are you doing? I said, what does it look like? I'm collecting coffee cups. Well, why are you doing that? For the Guinness World Record. So in order to find out what that was, you have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning because Guinness is in England.
Yep.
So I called Guinness. There was a World Cup in Gatlinburg. For $9, you could $9.99. You could buy a coffee cup with your name on it, and they would give you a cup of coffee for free that day. What a deal, Lucille.
Yep.
And right now we're at 9,036 cups. Never bought a single cup, drank out of every cup. I got the largest one is a gallon a pint. Smallest one is 2 drops.
Oh, okay. I have to ask the obvious question. You said you've drank out of every cup. Did you actually drink a gallon of coffee?
I didn't say I drank a full cup out of it. I said I drank. You got to listen to the words. I made me a cup of coffee, poured it in, and drank it.
Figured you meant a normal amount, but at least I hope you did, because you would have been wired that day for sure.
Yeah, some people took pictures of it, and as I finished it off and set it back on the table, I said, excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom. And the whole place erupted.
I can definitely imagine. So can drivers or other people still bring in cups today? Are you still collecting them, or is it kind of tapered off a bit?
I got one this morning.
Wow, okay.
You cannot stop this. Back when we started, it was the CB radio, and that put it out, and the next month we had 100 cups. Now it's the internet, it's Google, it's Facebook, it's all of these things that you can do on your telephone. Hey, I was at Uncle Pete's, and look at all these coffee cups, and they'll span the whole area.
Yep.
And then we'll have them come in, and they'll have something behind their back in a paper bag or a plastic bag, and they'll say, I got one you ain't got. And I just stick my hand out. And we hang it. We have a space between the kitchen and the desk. Those cups haven't been drank out of. And then once I drink out of them, we put them on the wall. We have outdone all of our shelves. So we're now putting eye hooks on the shelves, so we're doubling our space. Somebody said one day I'm going to be sitting over here and this whole wall's going to fall in on me.
I just don't want to be the person that's got to clean up all the cups if that ever happens.
We try to do it once a year. We have a policy. We have very few people ever try to walk out on a ticket.
Yep.
If you don't have money to pay, that's all right. You can wash that wall of cups.
So how many people have tried to walk out on a ticket over the years once they've learned that policy?
Yeah, because some guy says, well, how are you going to make me do it? I said, well, first of all, I'm going to call the sheriff's department and have them come out here because they want to watch somebody do it, and then we're going to bring you 3 buckets out here, set it on the table. You take them down, wash them, wipe them off, dry them, put them back up. He said, what? I said, yeah, it takes about 6 hours. I found some money in my here. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Oh, yeah, have fun.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that. Now, Guinness, as I'm sure you're aware, has all kinds of rules for what qualifies a world record. Can coffee cups be like the travel mugs without the handles that you see a lot of drivers using nowadays, the stainless steel ones, or do they have to be the more traditional ones with handles, or what's the rules concerning the coffee cups?
The rules, we have established something in that we bent the rules. Now somebody to beat me has to not bought the cup and drank out of the cup. So we sort of twisted it. 90% of our cups have something written on them. 8% are colored cups, and only 2% are metal, and they have something on them. So if a trucking company has got a travel mug with their name on it, we'll take that. But if it's just something you buy at Walmart, no, we're not going to take a travel mug. We're wanting real coffee cups with real stuff on them. And we've got everything from Christmas, Valentine's, Halloween, names, church verses, flowers, to the X-rated side around the corner, hidden.
It really does sound like you have something for everyone and then some. Now, I've been coming to your truck stop off and on over the years as my schedule allows, so sometimes I've been a bit of a regular and sometimes I've been much more irregular. But if I remember right, didn't at one point you kind of had a thing where somebody could bring in their own cup and like pay a monthly fee and they could drink out of their cup, or am I thinking of something else?
Nope, that's right. If you join the coffee club, you can either drink out of our cup or you can bring yours and we'll keep it washed and put up. And then when you come in, they'll fill your cup up and you drink out of it.
That's very cool. And if somebody wanted to join your coffee club, how would they go about doing that?
Come in, pay $200, and they'll get their name and information.
And I assume when you join the coffee club like that, I'm guessing it's a lifetime membership?
No, $200 a year.
Oh, $200 a year. Okay.
Yep.
Because for a second I was going, wait, $200 a month is awfully steep. But still, the way some people drink coffee, $200 a year isn't a bad deal.
And we've got a couple that are honored members that don't pay anymore.
Okay.
One of the guys is Billy Price, and he helped me immensely when we remodeled and did work here. He brought equipment up and never would take any money, so I put him number one on the coffee club, and he doesn't pay.
That works for me. That works for me.
Oh, me too. I'm still not up to what it would have cost me to use all of his equipment. So I'm still green.
I can definitely imagine on that one. So it sounds like over the years you had a lot of fun. Now, well, actually, let me ask the question a little bit different first. So do you still flip some businesses in the area, or do you mainly focus on the truck stop?
Oh, no, I quit that years ago. When I decided to stay here, I bought a home in Lebanon, and I have stayed here. I'm in Rotary. I'm the commander of the American Legion. I'm in the VFW, the VBA, and I just really have a lot of fun. We had a helicopter convention here, and it's just become me. I've been over the years. I was in the military flying helicopters. I got out. I've been the director of an agricultural museum. I was the assistant director of schools in Bowling Green. I was responsible for everything that wasn't educational. They were smart enough when they hired me not to put me in education. But, and the guy said, if you hadn't started with all them theirs and wheres and why nots, we'd probably put you in the classroom. But I went back to college to be a teacher, did my student teaching, and come back and told my advisor, Miss Pilley at Belmont, this is not for me. I'll toss one of those little smart X out a window one day. So she got me that job. I stayed there 5 years, and then I had a construction company that traveled all over the southern and western United States doing large remodeling contracts for the military on bases and stuff, and doing chasing hurricanes and doing insurance work. Then I sold that company and started buying, and this is where I stopped. This is my daughter and my grandchildren help here. My wife is head cashier here. My daughter is the president and chief operating officer, and I come in, drink coffee, shoot the breeze, and as my sticker says that I put on some cards, my card, sir, I'm somewhat of a BSer myself, but occupationally, I like to listen to a few professionals. I'm going to sit down and listen to you.
Oh boy, I like that. I may have to borrow that a little bit.
You have my blessing to use it any way you want.
And we'll be back with more with Uncle Pete in just a few moments.
You're listening to TNCRadio.Live. Remember to tune into the Truckers Network Show with Shelley Johnson, weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
This blog on TNCRadio.Live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 6 safety tips for truck drivers while driving in the rain. As a truck driver, you'll experience driving in dangerous weather conditions. Driving in the rain creates difficult and dangerous driving conditions for truckers. It's important for truck drivers to be alert and cautious when driving in the rain. Check out our 6 safety tips for truck drivers while driving in the rain. Slow down. Wet roads make it difficult for a driver to control their truck. A good rule of thumb is to drive 5 miles per hour below the speed limit. In some cases, you might have to drive more than 5 miles an hour below. Professional truck drivers adjust their speed according to the weather. When driving in dangerous conditions, only drive the speed you're comfortable with. Leave space. Leaving the appropriate amount of space between each vehicle will give a truck driver enough time to react. A fully loaded tractor-trailer traveling at 65 miles an hour needs about 5 seconds of space to stop. Drivers will have to increase the space between the cars while driving in dangerous weather conditions. Maintain your vehicle. Having your vehicle routinely checked will make driving in the rain more safe. Frequently check your truck's tires to make sure they have enough tread. Also, check your windshield wipers to see if they're working properly. Avoid standing water. Driving through standing water increases the chance of hydroplaning. Hydroplaning causes a driver to lose control of the truck and can result in serious injuries. Standing water also hides potholes and other debris that might be on the road. It's important to always avoid standing water while driving in the rain. Wear your seatbelt. Wearing a seatbelt is a requirement for all truckers, especially in dangerous weather conditions. Eliminate distractions. While driving in the rain, eliminate all distractions. If you drive with the radio on, turn the volume low so you can concentrate. Avoid touching your GPS or looking at it for long periods of time, and avoid using your cell phone. This blog on TNCRadio.Live has been brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Welcome back to Keep On Talkin' on TNCRadio.Live. Here's Tom Kirk.
Welcome back. Sit on down and join me as we talk more with Uncle Pete.
We have a professional BS table, And the rules to get into that table is you can't outdo the guy on your right, and you can't hurt the guy on your left feeling. In the last year and a half since COVID, it sort of isolated people. We now have 5 different groups of men and one of women, my knit and pearl girls, who come in here, occupy 1, 2, 3, or 4 tables, and just have a good time. Just have a good time.
That's one of the things, when I was first starting out in trucking around 16 years ago now, one of the things that I kind of liked about your truck stop when I first started stopping there, after a year or two of driving, was it kind of felt homey, the way the menu read and things like this. But I remember this young lady that would kind of sit, if you came in the front, off to the left front corner, kind of over in that area. She had longer black hair, glasses, grandchildren, and was just a wonderful, wonderful woman. And I can't remember her name, unfortunately. I know she passed a few years ago. But it got to the point where I think I'd only been there 2 or 3 times, and she remembered me and just made me feel like a part of the family. And that's one of the reasons I've always felt a deep appreciation for your truck stop. I would say it's sort of like Cheers, 2 to 3 visits. Everybody might not know your name, but they're sure glad you came and always make you feel welcome.
Well, we had a waitress, Phyllis, and Phyllis worked for me for over 25 years. And after 2 visits, she not only knew your name, she would bring you what you drank and how you drank it.
Yep.
If you hesitated about ordering, she would order for you.
Yep.
And when we lost her, we lost a jewel.
We really did.
She even got an award for saving a truck driver's life. How many waitresses can say that?
Not too many. Who the award was through?
Through the mayor of our city. Yeah, they made a presentation to her and a proclamation, and then presented us with her pictures and everything, and the article that went in the newspaper. She noticed smoke coming out of the back of a truck hauling hay. She took off across the street, apron flying, beat on the door. The guy gets out and starts to go back in, and she grabbed him by the underwear and pulled him back. Said, "No, sir, it's coming." And by then, it was at the back of the truck, and it melted the truck.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
And the other thing that I remember, I hadn't been there for a few years because my company had been running me changed a lot. I walked in the one day, and Phyllis turned and looked at me and goes, "Where have you been?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I got chewed out for not having stopped by for a while.
She would get on a retired driver. There was one that retired in Michigan, and he came in on the way to Florida and stopped to talk to her. She said, "And why have you not been coming to have coffee with me?" And she said, "Well, Phyllis, I live in Michigan." "So that's only a 1-day drive."
That's Phyllis. That was Phyllis. And the other thing that amazed me, I hadn't been in for 2 years, 2-3 years. She looked at me and said, "So what are you going to have, Uncle Pete's breakfast today?"
Oh, yeah.
And she remembered right down to how I like my coffee, how I like my eggs. She had an incredible mind and just a wonderful personality.
And never, ever met a stranger.
No.
And I've seen her. We have a policy where people down on their luck and coming through, we'll feed them. If they're all wet and stuff where they've been out, we'll throw their clothes in the dryer as long as they got other clothes to put on, and then give them a sack lunch and some water and drinks and stuff to go with. And I've seen her time after time stick a 20 in it.
Yep.
And I said, "Phyllis, what are you doing?" She said, "I don't need it. He does."
That was Phyllis in so many ways. One of the kindest, sweetest women I think I have ever met. Truck stop waitress or not, really a true gem. And the thing that I remember, one of the last times I was there and saw Phyllis, She had just gotten her new car. I think it was a blue Ford. First brand new car she had ever bought.
Exactly. Yep. Yes, her son drives that now. But, you know, the name of the truck stop came about because of some of my waitresses. Originally, this was East 40, but everybody called me Uncle Pete because my nieces and nephews worked here and all. And Phyllis said one day, she said, "This is ridiculous. This is not East 40 some shit. This is Uncle Pete's." So we did a name change. We've been open about a year officially when we changed our name officially to Uncle Pete's.
Okay.
You know, and you know, we have a saying. Everybody here is treated like a niece and a nephew. If you don't believe us, act up.
I would say from what I've seen, I could definitely believe that because I've met your wife a couple of times and as the head cashier, and she definitely runs a strict ship out there.
Ooh, yeah. I'm afraid of her.
I wasn't going to go there, but now that you mention it, I've noticed.
Want to be content and happy, do what Mama says.
Amen. I mean, and if you don't believe it, ask her. She'll tell you.
Oh yeah. Doesn't have a bit of problem telling you.
But no, I mean everybody there is some of the friendliest people that I've come across, and you know the food's definitely down home cooking, and I know different things on the menu have been named after people, and there's one, and it's the only reason, I'll be honest, I started eating it, and the fact that it was delicious, was Uncle Pete's breakfast, because the tagline is, "It's made Uncle Pete the man that he is today."
Yeah, and I ain't skinny.
And neither am I. But that is definitely a very tasty breakfast on there. It's what, I think 2 or 3 eggs, biscuits, gravy. It used to come with the baked apples, but I don't think it does anymore. Then you have a choice of either.
We got the apples back now, so yes.
Oh, the apples are back. Okay.
Yeah.
So the apples are back, and then it also came, I think it came with grits. And then your choice of meat, and I usually ended up getting either the pork chops or more often than not the country ham.
And we've added something to that breakfast now.
Okay.
If you don't get enough on your first plate, we'll double your plate and triple your price, and it works great for me.
I like your marketing strategy. I really do.
And every now and then we get a sucker. I mean, a taker.
Yeah, you ain't going to get me on that. I'll be honest, for me, and this is back when I ate a little bit more than I do now, that was enough food, or it pretty well filled me up. If you had more room, you had to be Joey Chestnut or a competitive eater or have a tapeworm or something.
I take part of it home when I eat it or save it for later. You know, it is a good big breakfast. And you know, we try diligently to cook wholesome, home-style food. You know, drivers tell me everywhere I go, it's heated up, meated up, or Pizza Hut, or frozen hamburgers or something. You know, I tell them, you know, our hamburgers are not frozen. 2 weeks ago, we spat him on the head. And we don't do frozen stuff with things in it to make it last 100 years.
Right.
I don't do that. The only thing that's in that hamburger is what he ate 2 weeks ago. That's it.
That works.
Yeah, and that's what they want. We have a new company across the street from us, and I really appreciate them coming in. I will not mention their name, but the drivers are forced into getting fuel there because it's a fuel stop for them. But then they'll come over here and eat a big breakfast or a dinner or a steak or something, and I laugh and say I made more off of that than they made off the fuel. Good trade.
I mean, very likely, because, you know, I remember over the years, you know, hearing about how so many of the big companies wanted to try to come in and take over your place, and did various things that they could to try to get, and you always turned them down. And I'm guessing some of it was the fact how community members, keep coming to you. But I'm also guessing you'd probably miss the drivers too, even though you might never admit that.
I miss them. Even the good, the bad, the ugly. I miss them. That's the reason I still get up early every morning and come down here and sit at the liar's table and just have a good time. That's the reason when we're completely packed and one girl didn't show up, so only got 2 waitresses, and they're trying to keep from being yelled at, I go around and entertain the troops. I tell jokes and I cut up and just have a good time with people, and I'll go from table to table asking about them and listening to them and seeing pictures of the grandkids. Next thing you know, there is a light hum and everybody is satisfied and the food starts coming out and people enjoy that. One guy says, "You going to take this on the road?" And I said, "No, I got too many of y'all on the road coming to me. Why do I want to go on the road?"
Exactly. I mean, I could see you maybe doing a one night only at maybe Louisville Truck Show. Come see Uncle Pete, but limited engagement, one night only. Head down to Lebanon.
Yeah.
And we'll be back with more of Uncle Pete right after this.
For the latest in ride-sharing gig economy news, visit uberliftdrivers.com. That's uberliftdrivers.com.
This blog on TNCRadio.Live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 4 things to consider before becoming a hazmat tanker driver. The demand for truck drivers is higher than ever. There are many different types of truck driving jobs. Whether you're a new driver or if you already have a couple of years' experience, it's never a bad idea to get new skills and endorsements. Hazmat tanker jobs are one of the many truck driving jobs. If you're considering becoming a hazmat tanker truck driver, here's some things you should know. What is a hazmat tanker? Hazmat truck drivers haul, deliver, and dispose of hazardous materials. Hazardous material can include things like gases, explosives, corrosive chemicals, poisons, and radioactive materials. Hazmat tanker drivers are not limited to hauling only hazardous material. They can also drive a non-hazardous tanker. Have the right requirements. Becoming a certified hazmat tanker driver will require you to add specific endorsements to your already existing CDL. You'll have to undergo training that is specifically designed for transporting and handling hazardous materials. After obtaining your CDL, you'll have to go through a background check and complete the application requirements. The application requires ID proof of being at least 21 years old, proof of citizenship or legal residence, a medical exam and eye exam. You must pass the hazmat knowledge test too. It's more stressful. Regardless of what you're hauling, being a truck driver is a stressful job. Safety is a top priority for truck drivers, especially for hazmat tanker drivers. Hauling hazardous material means that accidents or spills are much more severe. Hazmat tanker drivers are under much more stress and caution than drivers that haul non-hazardous material. Drivers need to be extra careful and need to plan their routes before driving. It requires a lot of skill. Truck driving is a difficult career and it's not for everyone. Being a truck driver already requires a lot of skill. For hazmat tanker drivers, there are specific skills that you'll need in order to be successful. Aside from the technical skills, hazmat tankers should also have personal skills. Some personal skills include being punctual, detail-oriented, and patient. These skills will make you a better driver in the long run. You make more money. Hazmat tanker drivers make more money on average. This is because more experience and skills required to haul hazardous loads. According to Salary.com, the average salary for a hazmat tanker driver in the United States is just over $63,000 a year, but the average salary range falls between $55,000 and $72,000 a year. Salary varies from education, certification, experiences, and additional skills. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
You're listening to TNCRadio.Live. This is Keep On Talking with your host, Tom Kirk.
We're back here at the Counter of Knowledge on Keep On Talking with Uncle Pete.
With our new fairgrounds here, I've actually considered talking to our fair board and doing a truck show here, because we have 300 acres with 100 electrified campsites, parking sites. We could do Louisville.
I think you could, particularly in terms of making it, because Louisville's that oddball show where it's a certain amount of truck show where just drivers come to socialize, a certain amount of show trucks, and then a certain amount of trade show. And I'll let everybody decide which percentage is which. There's some other shows that are getting out there now that are maybe a little bit more customer appreciation day / driver focused, but they're still trying to sell things at the end of the day. And then there's that rare show, and I think this is probably what yours would be. It's a show for the drivers. You know, it's a place where they can come, have fun, have some entertainment. I'll tell you right now, Uncle Pete, if you decide to ever go ahead and do that, you know how to get a hold of me. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to promote it for you and help in any way that I can.
Yeah, and I think the drivers need something where they can see what the latest things are, what the latest trends are. You know, one driver one day was fussing about how much he was making and stuff, and I said, you know, your truck is how old? And he said, well, it's about 11 months old. I said, so that's $185,000. He said, oh no, they're $60,000. I said, the tires damn near cost $60,000. Where you been?
Yep.
And so I pulled it up on the internet on his phone and pulled up the same truck he had, and it was $159,400.
Yep.
And he said, I can't believe they're that expensive. I said, yeah. And I said, so, and then when you hook a trailer behind it, I said, you're at $200,000-something.
Easily. And I mean, if you talk to some drivers, obviously sometimes you can get a deal where it's less, maybe 135 versus 158, which, okay, yeah, if you knock that much money off, yeah, that's a great deal. But no matter how you slice it, that's a heck of a lot of money. That's more money than a lot of people have spent on their house and car combined.
Yep. But not anymore. Boy,
no,
houses are
that has changed.
The average used car right now is $4,000-something for a 10-year-old car. This madness has got to stop somewhere. You know, they're pricing everybody out. I've seen a lot of truck stops. When I started, there was 1,850-something truck stops, and now there's probably 50 left. And, you know, and it's because the kids have taken over, and somebody walked in and said, I'll give you $19 million for this 45 acres on the interstate.
Yep.
And the first thing they do is they go in and rip the kitchen out, rip the dining facility out, and put chrome shops. Chrome, salt or pepper?
I've tried it a couple of times, and even with some hot sauce and salt, it wasn't really filling and my teeth hurt. Yeah.
And like I say, I hear it so many times that they're fed up with all of these Burger Kings and Pizza Huts and Dairy Queens and stuff. They want real food.
I will say there's a few of the independent, or what I call the independent chains, where the guy may own 3 or 4 in a small area, like up in Maryland or wherever it is, where they don't have a restaurant in quite the way you do. They have a seating area where you can sit, and then a hot deli where you can go in and they'll cook food to order for you, or they have it, where you can just say, I want the roast chicken today, or whatever it is that's in the hot deli, and it's still home cooking, not as good as yours, but it's still pretty good. And they have found that kind of a happy medium between fast service and full service.
The other thing that a trend that we've seen start since the pandemic started is young drivers wanting good food. The guys that were raised on a hamburger and fries and with 2.2 ounces of grease in it, come in and say, hey, do you have a chef salad? Yeah.
Yep.
Or do you have something that's this or that, or broccoli and cheese? And I said, yeah, we got all that.
Yep.
We got all
I've had your grilled chicken salad several times, and it's delicious. But, we talked about food here, and there's one thing we've skipped missing. And I'm a northern boy, so it has to be good. Your beans and ham.
Oh, absolutely. You're northern, but that's the way the southern people cook it too.
Northern boy likes it. Somebody had to fix it right, because up north, beans and ham we don't talk about it. but that's a good southern dish.
New Year's Day, we had black-eyed peas and ham hock. And this one guy from somewhere in Maine, Bangor, I think, said, well, what is this? And I said, well, it brings you good luck. And he said, it ain't too good for the pig. I said, no, but you get to eat him. So he tried a little bowl. In a few minutes, I see her taking him a soup bowl full. Pretty good.
Yep.
And I said, yeah. And that's the thing. We try to do different things as the seasons come around. We try to do things, we change our menu periodically by what the drivers would like to see. We're bringing chicken and dumplings back. It had sort of slowed down, and now we're getting a lot of requests, so we brought it back. We're bringing some other few things back, and that's a good thing. A lot of the big restaurant chains rotate their menus throughout the year. We're big right now into homemade soup, homemade beef stew, homemade chili, and we make it in small batches, 5 gallons at a time, and so it's always fresh. And we make all these soups. I think we got a fresh chicken soup that we make totally from scratch, a vegetable soup. Now, the vegetable soup is leftover vegetables for the week. They've got a container, and if there's 2 or 3 servings, they just dump it in that container. And then on Saturday, she makes soup for next week. So the vegetable soup, we say, is never the same 2 weeks in a row. It's good.
It is.
It's Mama's recipe. You guys said that, how do you do this soup? Golly, it's so good. And I said, well, my mom taught me how to do it. He said, how? I said, V8 juice. He said, what? I said, we throw all the vegetables in there with a little bit of chicken stock and get it going, get it hot, and then open 2 cans of V8 juice, 1 regular, 1 spicy, pour it in. And he said, I'll be. And I said, it makes all the vegetables pop up and give you that flavor back in every spoon. And he said, I'm going to tell my wife. No, don't tell her. Get you some V8 juice and make a bowl of vegetable soup for her. And when she says, how did you do this? I'm not telling you. It's a secret. I said, 2 things happen. From now on, you make vegetable soup.
At one point in time, I was doing a lot of cooking on the truck. And there was one pantry staple that I had to have in my truck, cans of V8 juice. If I was going to cook a roast and I wanted to have a little bit of liquid in there, I put a little bit of V8 juice in there. And I had friends go, well, I don't like V8 juice. And I looked at him and goes, excuse me, it's not V8 juice, it's V8 stock. Oh, well, that's completely different then. And I just would shake my head and go, really?
Rice, pour V8 juice in the rice for the water. You get a red rice with a really good pop-in flavor that you can then do about anything, and it will go with about anything.
I can definitely see that. I was visiting my mother one year. I was driving truck, and I stopped by her apartment, and it was on Thanksgiving. We weren't going to mess with the whole turkey. I was trying to figure out what I could do. So I got some turkey cutlets or some turkey breasts, seasoned it up, put a little bit of brown mustard on it because I wanted to do a one-pot meal. Threw it in a pan where I browned it up just a little bit, and then I threw in my sweet potatoes, some rutabaga or turnip, depending on where you're from, some carrots, a little bit of cauliflower, a few things like that, a little bit more seasoning. Then I dumped in a couple cans of V8 juice, covered it, and Mom, as she's getting older, doesn't eat the way she used to. She wanted seconds that day. And it's amazing what a little bit of V8 juice can do to a soup, a stew, a roast, whatever you want to call it. And in a pinch, I've even used it as tomato soup. If I'm on the truck, let's say I want to have a grilled cheese sandwich, or I picked up a tuna sandwich from someplace and nobody had tomato soup, just inside real quick. If I don't have any on the truck, get a bottle of V8 juice, heat it up in the microwave, and lo and behold, you have tomato soup.
Yeah, and you can actually add a little bit of milk to that and make it a creamy tomato soup.
I don't add milk, but I'll add cream cheese, and it does almost the same thing.
Yeah, that's even better. Now we top our tomato soup, our tomato bisque, we top it with shredded cheddar cheese.
Ooh, that would be delicious.
Yeah, and you let it float on the top, and then people stir it in, and gives you that really good Wisconsin cheese flavor.
And you're listening to Uncle Pete, and we'll be right back after these messages. Hope you're hungry to hear more.
TNCRadio.Live, your commercial driver navigation station.
This is Tom Kirk, and we're back here with Uncle Pete.
My dad is 95, still lives alone, him and his cat. And so I carry him meals so that he doesn't have to cook anymore. And during the winter, I carry him all individual servings already packaged of soups and stews and stuff like that. And then in the summertime, he loves our chili. And so I carry him chili. And then what he does is heat up a hot dog, chop it up, and throw it in his chili. He's got a hot dog with chili.
Yep, I've been guilty of doing that on more than one occasion over the years. All I can say is your father sure knows good food.
Oh yeah. My dad and mom. My mother's from the country. My dad's a Vanderbilt graduate, so he's not a cook. But my mom and my grandparents on my mom's side, they were cooking from the thing. They canned everything. Worst spanking in my life I ever got was every year my grandmother would buy 100 chickens live. They would take them to her house, and we would cut their heads off. They would pluck them, gut them and everything, and then everybody would leave with 15 or 20 chickens apiece. Well, my cousin and I found out that if you cut the head off of a chicken and turn him loose, he'll run. We were having contests. We were cutting two at a time, seeing who ran the longest. My grandmother stepped out to get some chickens, and one ran up against her leg, squirted blood on her apron. She looked at us. I remember this to my dying day. We might have to kill them and eat them, but we'll derive no pleasure from their death. She grabbed a rose bush and whipped us both.
Yeah, okay. When you have a Southern grandma mad enough to pull up a rose bush to whip you, you know she's a little irritated.
Yeah, and when she walked back into wherever the women were at, she said, "Not one of y'all say anything about their spanking, but somebody's going to have to get some tweezers." I never forgot it. I never forgot it.
And now I'm going to guess you never did anything like that ever again.
Well, not and got caught at it.
Fair enough. And we won't ask anymore, just in case, she's listening and looking down on you going, I knew that.
She's definitely listening and looking down on me, and a big smile on her face.
I can imagine.
Now, honey, you need to put a little bit more salt in it.
I know exactly what. A lesson that I learned as a kid, I got home from school and my mother was down at our church doing some cleaning, was on her way back. So we were going to have some horticulture beans, which are similar to like the pinto beans, for dinner that we had canned earlier in the year. And I can't remember if we was having some cornbread or what. So I was heating them up, and I put some seasoning in to season them up, and I taste it, and it goes, needs a little something. I put it in there, it goes, gee, it's a little salty. And so I get some other seasonings out of the cupboard, and I start, some garlic salt and onion salt, and just try to get it so it doesn't taste, and it's just getting saltier and saltier. I come home up, Mom, I can't figure out why. Seems like no matter what I do, it just keeps getting saltier and saltier. And she looks at me and goes, well, you said you're using garlic salt and onion salt and seasoning salt. At about that time, the dime dropped. For whatever reason, I just saw the word garlic and never added the word salt.
Yep.
Together. So we went out and got another can or two and stretched it out, and then it tasted the way it should. But I learned an important lesson to that day. If you're going to use salt, use real salt.
The old boy said, here's your number.
Pretty much. But that's why in my pantry at home, I don't have garlic salt and onion salt. It's garlic powder and onion powder. If I'm going to put in salt, it's salt.
We make a lot of things. We make our barbecue rub ourselves. We do a lot of, like, our own fish rub with lemon pepper and different spices that go with all of that and things. And we're the same way. We just don't buy anything that says garlic salt or this salt or that salt. We just don't do it. Because invariably, you got 5 gallons and all of a sudden it says, oh, gosh, my blood pressure is going up just sitting here holding it.
Exactly. Now, I noticed the last time I was in your store, you're starting to sell some marinades and seasonings. Is that something you're involved with, or is that a local business?
That's a local business that he came to me about 3 years ago and we started carrying it, and he's got some really good hot sauces. He's got some that I can't say over the air how hot they are because of the way they describe the human anatomy. But we sell gift sets, and then we sell them individually. And again, it's made in Lebanon. It's not made, it's not bottled for Kroger's or anything. It's made for I think he services about 25 places, and we go through one whole lot of it.
Yep.
And we're now in the process of getting a local guy that I met who has beehives, and so now we're going to sell raw honey. And I thought, now what is raw honey? I asked him, I said, what is this? He said, most honeys you buy has been processed so that it won't coagulate, and it has been added to with sugars to stretch it and make it cheaper.
Okay. I wasn't aware of adding the sugars, but I knew they would heat it up or pasteurize it or whatever the term was.
Yes. So we're going to sell clover honey, strawberry honey. If you go to Florida, you can buy orange honey. I remember that when I was a kid.
Yep.
And we're going to start carrying his line of honey. I think he's got wildwood honey, and that's out of hives that are in the woods. And
okay.
So we're going to start selling that. He puts them out in the wheat fields. He puts them out in clover and hay and stuff like that, and has a really good line of honey. We're going to carry it.
And that sounds fantastic.
If I can help a neighbor, I'm going to help a neighbor. When the people came in across the street, I helped them, when they first came in. When they built a Mexican restaurant up the street from me, I sent him a big flower pot and stuff. I do not look at other businesses coming into my area as anything but a benefit.
Yep.
It brings more people off the interstate. It makes more business for everybody, and it helps more people have a good job. And I'm for it.
And that's the way it should be.
If they just get off their butt, spend all that stimulus money they got, and come back to work.
That works. Now, getting back to the honey just for a second, we had some friends that had beehives. So as a kid, I did let me pick out a little jar of honey and things like that. And I've discovered my favorite honey of all time, and I'm sure there's going to be another one I like better someday, is buckwheat.
Oh, buckwheat, yeah. Yeah, no, he has buckwheat honey also.
Ooh, I'm going to have to be stopping by once it's in stock to pick me up a jar, because it's just so dark. And when I'm out on the road, most places say, "Oh, would you like syrup with your pancakes?" And I'm like, "Is it real or artificial?" And they give me a look, and I'm just like, "Bring me some honey," because I've reached a point where I no longer enjoy, the traditional pancake sugar syrup that almost everybody uses nowadays. I grew up on real maple syrup, and I just realized I need a lot less. It tastes a lot better. So if I can't get maple syrup, I put honey on my pancakes or my French toast.
Yeah, I do things like that. I also do apple butter on my pancakes, and especially on French toast. And now I'm from the deep south, so I like sorghum molasses.
A friend of mine got me on that, and is that delicious.
And if you got biscuits left over, you put a little butter with it, whip it up, and eat it on a biscuit.
And the other thing, I did not know this until I tried it, if you got a bit of a tummy ache, just a little bit of that sorghum molasses, very often will take care of it.
Yes, sir, it will. Now I eat my molasses with butter and biscuits, but I crumble my biscuits into the bowl of the stuff and then eat it with a spoon.
Now, that sounds good. I remember as a kid growing up, if we had any leftover cornbread from the night before, Dad would take it, crumble it up, and pour some milk or cream over it.
In the South, we do that with buttermilk.
Okay, well, and if we had buttermilk, he'd do that too. It's just what we had in the house that day.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got my lesson on buttermilk when I was about 7. I saw my granddad eating it. I said, "What is that?" And he said, "Ice cream and cake." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Can I have a bite?" I didn't do that again for a while.
Uncle Pete's a master storyteller, and he shares so much more with us. We'll be having him back next week. Be sure to listen in. You can find Uncle Pete's truck stop in Lebanon, Tennessee at exit 239 off of I-40. They'll be on the south side there. Be sure to stop on by, have some of their great food, and take a look at that coffee cup collection.
Hey, thanks for listening to TNCRadio.Live's presentation of Keep On Talkin' with your host, Tom Kirk. For more information or to ask a question or to tell more about your story, send email to info@TNCRadio.Live.